Hey guys, it's Danny. In today's video, we are going to blab for the main part and also pot up my gray stun Cloacia. Now, I filmed this video already, but it was a mixture of wanting to show you this puzzle pot that is absolutely fantastic and also talking about, you know, the blabbing, the chill topic that we're gonna talk about. It was a bit of a mess, so I'm gonna split that video into two. One will be about the pot, one will be about how I learned English, and it ties into a comment that I always get. Why am I calling some orchids he and some orchids she and all of these things? I'll give it some comments. Verge a little bit on insinuating things that I absolutely don't mean. Things that have nothing to do with the reason why I call them like that. It's purely Latin grammar, and I always comment that back, but I feel like I need to explain for you guys to properly understand how different Romanian is from English and how I need to make sense of both languages in my mind, because they don't make sense, really. I have to come to a compromise in my mind about things, and that translates into me speaking a little weird sometimes. So I kind of want to address that, just to share this link whenever somebody asks me about it, because it's a long comment, right? Right, so with that said, let the blabbing begin. You have been properly warned. I don't want to see any comments saying, why you talk so much? Yes, I talk so much. It's been 11 years. I think we're already used to that. Things will not change, but at least I give you proper warning. So I don't want to hear, if you could hear comments, I don't want to hear about it in the comments. You have been warned. It's a repot and chill video, and it entails blabbing, right? So with that said, let's go back in time, an outfit change later, and let's start blabbing. Right, so let's get to repotting, and as I promised, let's talk a little bit about the whole he, she orchid situation, because I want to do this because, not very often, but sometimes the comments can get inflammatory and people are thinking that I'm referring to something that I absolutely don't. And it's just not a topic that I usually talk about or I want to get into. They misunderstand, okay? So I don't want to have any misunderstanding here. The reason why these orchids are he or she to me is purely grammar, Latin grammar. Nothing to do with anything. Some of these orchids, especially catasetums, can produce male flowers and sometimes female flowers. That is a fact, absolutely. But the plants themselves don't have a gender. I know there are plants that, I think they're trees, I'm not sure, but I've seen somewhere some specimens of that plant, they're female and some are male, and like when people want to cross them, they ship the pollen like from a plant to another botanical garden that has a female. That can happen, absolutely, but orchids are not the type, or at least the orchids that I know of and the ones that I grow, they're not like that. So it has nothing to do with that, has everything to do with grammar. How on earth? Well, for an English-speaking person, this will be weird, but if you're Greek, which I know has the same grammar rules, maybe Slavic as well, Slavic languages, I think they have the same rules. It will not be a novel concept, but I will explain it a little bit for mainly the English-speaking audience, because I know it's very different, like Romanian or Latin languages and English, totally different things. And when I learned English, it was like, what are these concepts? It was like, as a kid, I was trying to make sense of things, and some things, never got through to me. I know why. Discovering things about myself as I age, as I discover who I am, makes sense. They make sense why I don't like certain things and I want to do things in a certain particular way, because that's how I feel comfortable. Anyway, but one thing that English language is different when it comes to grammar is the pronouns and how they affect a sentence. For example, when you have a noun in English, there's no concept of that noun having a gender, but it's not like human genders or something. It's a more abstract concept. It's just grammar. In Romanian, nouns have a gender, but it doesn't mean that, let's say a table, it's a female. Yeah, it's a female noun. It doesn't mean we think it's a girl. That's weird, that's bizarre. No, it's just the way of speaking about it. It's just the termination, and it affects adjectives. So when you say the table is round or big or beautiful or green, whatever, that is an adjective. And in English, the table is green. That green adjective can be put to all other nouns. Plants, sky. No, the sky is not green. maybe. Water, whatever you can think of is green. The word green will never change as an adjective, no matter what noun you're using. In Romanian, it's not like that. And I'm betting in other languages it's not like that either. Because in Romanian, because the table is a feminine noun, the adjective green will have a feminine termination as well. And I chose the word poorly because green is the same both in masculine and feminine. Let's say tall. Tall is different if you want to say the table in Romanian, masa. The table is tall. It will sound different than if you say the pole is tall. Even though tall is the same word in Romanian, it sounds differently if you refer to the table than if you refer to the pole, because one is feminine, the other one is masculine as far as grammar is concerned, right? So imagine, and by the way, I'm going to reuse, let's get to potting. I'm going to use the same sphagnum moss because this plant will be very, very thirsty. So I'm going to put all of this sphagnum moss, which has never seen water. I never watered it. I'm going to put it back. It's not a very weird repotting, so it's going to be done in 3 seconds, but I'm going to tell you the story. So yeah, imagine growing up with these concepts and thinking everybody's the same and everybody speaks the same thing. And just so you know, me and English go way back. Before I even studied it in school, backstory. Romania was a communist country, and in 1989 we had a revolution. Horrible times, not gonna go into it. I remember, horrible. But after the revolution, because we were like deprived of basic things, food, we had rationalized food. We were starving. Anyway, we were deprived of many things that the West had. After the revolution, I think we just over-imported stuff because we just wanted to see what the fuss was about. I remember the first time I ate oranges was in the first Christmas maybe after the revolution or a year after. My brother came home with oranges. I was like, what are these? They're in my brain, oranges. It's a memory I will never forget. And now I get to grow them in my yard. The paradox. Anyway. So we over-imported stuff, we overdid it with stuff. We got internet super fast, very fast internet in Romania when the internet came. We had cable TV very fast. I had cable TV in 1992. Cyprus did not. My husband says they did not. I had MTV, Cartoon Network in 1992. We didn't have a lot of money, but we had cable TV and it was quite cheap. So I had access to this, and I had access to Cartoon Network. Dude, when I was growing up, we had 5 minutes of cartoons, 2 hours of TV per day, electricity, I don't know, it was shut down sometimes. Imagine when I was 6, 7, whatever, having cartoons all day long. What? I was watching, I didn't understand a thing, but I was watching it. So that's how I learned English. I was watching cartoons, I didn't understand a thing, but I was piecing things together based on their actions and what was happening. I learned English. What the heck? I learned English. In 2 years, I was in 4th grade. We had some American friends at some point in our lives that we helped out. Great people. And I was talking to them in English. And I was like, wow, this girl knows English. Nobody in my family knew that I knew. I didn't know I knew. I was just watching the cartoons and I was telling my brother, oh, this guy said that. And I was like, sure, Jan. I was like, no, he said that. I know it. Okay. And these guys were like, no, she really speaks. Not at this level, but I was holding sentences and explaining things. And I remember to this day, it was wonderful. They were like, she knows English and she has an American accent, kind of, for the main part. And my parents were like, what? So they actually, in 6th grade, I had to move from my grandma and I moved to a different school that was actually teaching English because not all schools were teaching English. And my mom was like, there's something there. You have to learn English. My mom is my biggest fan and she's the reason why I am where I am. But she was like, you need to continue. So up until then, I thought all of the rules of grammar and everything were the same for everybody. And I don't know how I was speaking English or how I understood it, but I can tell you, I did not know how to write. And I didn't know that writing in English is a journey. So first year of me learning English in school, my teacher was like, because we were talking, everybody was like 0 level. I was like already speaking, right? He was like, oh, he thought you already studied English somewhere. First test, basic test, you know, after like a month or whatever, first test, basic test for everybody, advanced test for me. Everybody passed, I failed it. I failed my first English test. I got a 4. I never in my life got a 4 at school. The grading system was from like 1 to 10. Nobody was getting 1s, but like I was like 8, 9, 10 usually. 4. It's like, oh. In 6th grade, it was shocking. The teacher was like, you don't know how to write. So they had to work extra with me to catch up. And to get into the bilingual high school that I got into, I had to like eat English on bread. I cannot tell you how much private tutoring I got just to be up to date. And to get into that high school, tutors refused me because they thought I don't have enough time and enough knowledge to pass. And my teacher from like that school believed in me, and it was a different teacher. She tutored me every single day for like, I don't know, a month before going to the high school, just so I'm up to date with everything, and I passed and I went to the high school. Anyway, so that's my story with English. I ate it up on bread. Sometimes it got a little frustrating, especially with the grammar and the writing part, but I loved it. I always loved English. I don't know why. It's weird for an English speaker to hear that one person's passion is English language, you know, but for me it was. And many kids that grow in Eastern Europe, you know, they learned English from computers, from games, from TVs, depending when we were all born. I'm old. I learned it from the TV. Didn't have a computer until a point, or internet. But yeah, we all mostly learned English from TV. So many of us kind of know how to like speak, but maybe not so well how to write. I now know how to write, thankfully. But yeah, that's my history with English. Now, how does this come into play? Well, it's funny because the way you write, one thing I never understood in movies as growing up is, what's the deal with spelling bees? And what's such a big deal? Like, how do you not know how to spell something? You wanna know why? Because in Romanian and probably many other Latin languages, the way you write a word is the way you say it. There are no catches. You don't need to know how to pronounce things. It's just every single letter you pronounce. And that's how you pronounce the word. Easy as daylight. It might be a foreign concept. Let me explain. Because I thought of a word. Let's take the word action, right? How do you type it in English? A-C-T-I-O-N, right? In Romanian, if you would read that word, it would be like action. Heck is that? It's not action, because in Romanian, how I would write the word and how I wrote it in that test, and the teacher was like, what the heck is going on? I wrote it in Romanian, because A is a letter, it's letter A. In Romanian it's A, not A, it's A. Ak. Okay, there's a C, a K. K is the letter in Romanian. Sh. The sound sh is the letter in Romanian. It's the S with the little thingy underneath. It's sh. Sh is a letter in Romanian. Is a letter. My husband struggles with this concept. So action, action, n. N is a letter in Romanian. Action. This is how I would write it in Romanian. So every single letter is a sound. So I did not get why kids had issues spelling words. Like, I can spell it, I'm so smart. No. And then imagine my horror when I started to learn how to write English. I was like, but how do I know how to do the sh sound when it's C-T-I, action, or let's say the word sheer, S-H-E-E-R, sheer. So S-H is sh, but also T-I is sh, action. What is this grammar? What is going on? Oh no. Yeah, so that's a major difference between Romanian and English. How on earth do you not have letters for all the sounds? I'm kidding. But yeah, that's the thing with Romanian. In this point of view, reading Romanian, super easy. There are only like 2 things that you have to know how to read, depending on how they're written. It's the GE and C-E and G-H-E and C-H-E. So if you say che, C-E, that's che. But if you want to say ke, it's C-H-E. Same with G. Other than that, there are no rules. Whatever you see written, it's how you say it, because each letter is a sound. Interesting, huh? There is no, like, depending on the context. No, none of those, as far as I know. So I struggled a little bit with, like, writing English. So that's one thing that I struggled with. The second is the genders. Getting back to our story. Right, so I'm gonna put the sphagnum moss back. Back to our story here. Genders. Because all pronouns have a gender, but we don't believe they're girls or boys. It's none of that. It's just how we speak. I struggled with the concept of it. So when I learned English in school, I learned for the first time that it is used for anything that is not human. But then I learned, well, we don't really use it for dogs as well. But like if it's a mosquito, it's not a he or she, it's an it. But if it's a dog, you know, maybe it's a he or a she. Like very confusing, like, okay. Like grammar, like correct grammar, a dog is an it. But like because we like dogs, it's a he or a she because, you know, I get that. But like grammar-wise, is it correct? Is it? I don't know. I struggled with the concept of it because I find it weird since I learned that it refers to things that are not alive. So I don't struggle with it when it comes to table. The table is not alive. I don't struggle with it. But when it comes to a plant, I do struggle with it because it's a live thing. Somehow it's weird to say it has blooms. Okay, let me give you a scenario. When I say it's raining or it is raining, I have no issue saying it because it sounds very much like Romanian. No, it is cold, let's say outside. Este frig. It is cold. Is cold. That's how I would translate it. There's no it. But it sounds like it is implied, right? Este frig. It's cold or it is cold. I don't struggle with it. It makes sense in my brain. But when we talk about stuff, we don't really put the noun in front of things. We put it at the end of the adjective. And that's where the problems start. Because if I say it's cold, it's hot, it's raining, I have no problem. The table is big, it's too big, it's too long, it's dirty, no problem with it. But when it comes to the plants and the animals and everything, it's not the same because it doesn't have any correlation. I cannot say este, something like that. I'm referring to something that has a noun, a gendered noun, and it's alive. So maybe my issues, but I cannot say it is green. I can say this orchid is green, is pink, is whatever. She smells beautiful. I cannot say it smells beautiful. It grinds something in my brain so bad you cannot imagine. So I cannot say it in that context. And other things, like my animals and stuff, they will always, or for most of the times, they will be gendered because of the grammar that I grew up with. And because I cannot marry the two grammar styles, I cannot reconciliate the thoughts. It's weird, but somehow I cannot. So that's why, and by the way, I'm gonna put this like this, plip, and I'm gonna stabilize it with my trusty bamboo skewer. The bamboo skewer is an it, I have no issue with it, but my orchid is a she, because orchid is feminine. Now, it's also a catasetum, and when I say catasetum, I say a he. So somehow, sometimes, I choose which ones are she's and which ones are he's, depending on what I'm referring. If I'm referring to an orchid, it's a she. If I'm referring to a catasetum, it's a he. Cloacia Grace-Dunn. No, not Grace-Dunn. Yeah, Grace-Dunn. Cloacia. Cloacia, it's a feminine noun. So it's a she. Does that make sense in any way, shape, or form? I'm trying to explain it. But yeah, that is the history of me in English and why I speak like I speak. And there we go, she's stable. Ta-da! She might wiggle a little bit and that's okay. I put sphagnum moss. I will not wet it until I see roots and everything. And also I will put a layer of bark on top when she starts to get watered. Right now the sphagnum moss will not have any cyanobacteria or algae on top of any sorts. I'm getting hungry. Oh, it's getting close to lunchtime. I hope you don't hear my stomach growling, but I still have to work. I still have some videos to do. But if I get like too growly, I might have to take a break. Right, so here she is, and it's the same thing that I did with other catasetums. This is how I stabilize them until they get roots. I'm not moving them around, so there's no point in stabilizing them further. Let's put the tag. And when it's time to water, I'll just water it normally and put the bark on top. Right, so that has been the video for today. Very chill video. I wanted to show you the pots and also wanted to tell you about the English language. And another thing that's weird, when I think, depends who I'm talking to. Like, I can think in Romanian, obviously, because I'm Romanian, but I can also think in English. And when I think about a subject that I want to film and stuff, the ideas that I do this mental list in my mind. Okay, I'm going to do the subject, I'm going to talk about this, and that. If it's like not a lot of things, I'm not going to write it down. If it's a lot of things, if it's an update, I will write it down. But I think about all of the things that I want to say, I think about them in English, which is bizarre. So, yeah, I don't do the same for French, and I've studied French since 2nd grade. I know a few. I can hold a bit of a conversation in French, but it's not easy because I didn't speak it too much. I didn't watch anything French on TV. It's just what I learned at school, so I have to translate first from Romanian to French a little bit. I don't think in French, but in English I do think a lot. Anyway, so yeah, as far as the accent, yeah, it sounds like an American accent. It's not one-to-one. Anybody who's American will notice there's something off, like with how I speak. But I think it's that because of the movies that I watched. But you will discover many of the times in some words that I have more of a British pronunciation, and that has to do with the documentaries. Because in school, I didn't learn about algae, right? In school, I just learned about Anna goes to school. And then in the cartoons that I watched, algae wasn't a very common word, but the documentaries that I watched about the natural world and algae were British, presented by Sir David Attenborough. So algae for me is not algae, although in Romanian, the plural of algae is alge. So I should say algae, right? But I don't, I say algae because it's sedimented in my brain. And some stuff that don't roll off the tongue really easily, like literally, I do put that T a little bit more pronounced because I just cannot, if I say literally, it's off, right? So you will discover these things in how I speak just because I watched like the English documentaries more than anything on Discovery. Everything else is like cartoons and movies, I guess. And that's about it. Basically, I'm doing my best so I can like get stuff across. And yeah, that's my English language, I guess, story. It's bushier than that, but who has time? But yeah, I hope you understand a little bit about how Romanian grammar works or Latin grammar works and why I say certain things and how things work in my brain. Sometimes they're conflicting, and I have to find a resolution between the two concepts. So just so you know, and to make it very, very clear, burdens. I do not mean or imply anything other than grammar when I do these things. And it's just how my brain works. And I'm sorry, my birds are really having a day. It's just how my brain works. I cannot shake it off for reasons that I discovered. Some stuff bother me and I need to do some stuff in a certain way, otherwise, no. So that's how it is. And with that said, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this hangout and chill, repot and chill type of video. Links to the pots down below. Should I make this a two-parter video? Nah, I don't know, maybe not. So yeah, half an hour video, there we go. Hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me today, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.